Today we'll be lending our perspective on the issue that has been trending in the last couple of days, the borders around splitting of bills between couples. Should couples split finances, or should the man be responsible and bear it all? You can call us on 081-076-41679, 090-241-63440. You can also tweet to us at TVC. Can I please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets? This conversation kind of started first with, I think Kiki had started a conversation when she said that when she's going to be in the marriage, they have to split the bills. Man and wife especially have to split the bills. And then other people started having the conversation in different ways. So a couple had an online, an IG, where the husband was saying that he must pay the school fees.
Which couple?
And this couple, the school fees and the shelter. There are two things a man must. And the wife was saying that, well, the truth is that there are other bills that women actually do, you know, and it would be unfair because men in some instances are not able to do shelter and fees at that moment. So it would be unfair to make it look as if you must pay shelter and school fees, because there's some men, every man has a different phase in his life where he's unable to do either. And does that make him less of a man? So these are conversations, and this has started a debate in different people, and I'd like to hear your views. You can call us on 081-076-416-479, 090-241-63440. You can also tweet to us. Nima, let me come with you.
You're here.
Okay, so the story started from Kiki's page, just as you said, and I didn't like the way she put it. So we have the general, and then we have the exceptions. But when you make the exception, the general saying, you know, a woman should be ashamed that, you know, she's in the house and she's not paying rent. She should pay part of the rent. And then the reason she put behind it being that, okay, so that when you can never hear the statement, get out of my house. So the reality in marriage is that women carry some bills. Whether they loud it, whether they silence it, they carry bills. But that bill does not guarantee that when you fight, you will not hear word. You can ask any married person who has to share space, time, resources with another person, totally different from who they were raised. So even if you had your siblings living with you, you will have these exchanges, and nothing guarantees that you will not have those fights. That you pay the bills, that you carry everything on your head does not guarantee that. Self-respect and reciprocated respect is what you can use to battle it. Not, you don't buy your way out of it. You either love somebody and put up with them, or you don't. So the excuse of rent paying is not, let's not now change because of that, as if that will guarantee anything. And, you know,
exactly.
You will, if you get to divorce, you will still split properties that you co-owned. You will still sit through some tough conversations, and nothing guarantees anything.
What does it look like? Let me come to you, Mariam, for a second. A man's ego needs to be told that I paid for the school fees and shelter. I handled it. It is nobody can tell me that they sent my children to school. Why does that seem to be important to some men?
Well, because the way men are raised. A man, from when he's a child, I mean, I remember my son turned 10. He had a conversation with his father where I heard the father saying to him, you are now the man of the house. You are a protector. You are supposed to, when I'm not there, you know, so a boy is already raised to know that there are responsibilities that he must carry. You're the one that makes sure that you provide shelter for your family, food, whatever it is that your family needs. You are the sole provider. And then as you grow older, when things, you know, life happens, circumstances play a role as well, you know, we're adult enough to understand that we can make some adjustments. But many men, I mean, at least men in our own generation, I don't know how younger boys are being raised now, you know, we're teaching them to be a man and take responsibility for your family. And whether we like it or not, that is what gives a man a sense of purpose. When a man, because of the way they were raised, if they are unable to do that, no matter what it is that they have, even if they have the brilliant wife in the world, the best kids in the world, if they feel that they are not contributing to the well-being of that house, to the growth of that house, in paying for bills, in providing shelter, in paying for fees, they never just feel fulfilled. I've also heard of conversations where you hear that men who are with women that are able to provide everything, and the man does not need to provide anything, still finds a side woman that he's able to do all these things for.
Yes.
Because in that relationship, he feels needed.
Yes.
Like, hey, now I'm a man. What do you want? Let me take care of it. That's what a man wants.
But
okay.
Let me pause you for a second, because we're in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Life happens. Women are being economically empowered. Should men begin to face the reality that what makes you macho, what builds your ego, we need to review it as the years are going on, because your women are equally capable to pay school fees, equally capable to pay rent, equally capable to pay all the bills, to do the heavy lifting. Because some men feel as if, oh, we just food, you handle food, these are the smaller things.
Those are the
we are the
major
heavy,
ones.
but the truth is that that's the major.
Go back and do the maths.
Exactly. So men have the assumption that because you pay for food, you do cable, you do all the school uniform, those are little things. But because they do the heavy lifting, that makes it. But that's not totally true.
That's a different conversation as well. This is a different one, because now we're talking about the 50-50 bill and what it means. Is it really 50-50? You know, yes, you are able to put in one go rent, and you're able to put in one go school fees. But
do it one time.
Please go and get me, we've run out of tomatoes, pepper, blah, blah, blah. You did it on Monday, do it on Wednesday. And then you're going down the road, the fuel is finished, you're in the car anyway, you add a bit.
So is he really the provider?
No.
So yes, he really the provider. So that thing that makes you a man, I am the provider, uncle, is no more, because you provided house and school fees, but there are other things that are equally important. Yeah. So we are both doing 50-50.
The relationship.
YK, I want you to jump in.
Me? The only thing I need to say here is that in my next life, I want to be a woman.
Yes.
Because the responsibility of men, I think, is a bit much for them. So please bring me as a woman. God, don't bring me as a man. I don't want to, because in this our society and many societies, men are the heavy lifters, are supposed to be the, even all those you buy petrol, it's really the man supposed to take allowance upon, he's paying the rent, upon he's doing this, he's still supposed to say, take this allowance. And when he's not doing that, he's not known as the man. So, and I think a lot of men now in today's world feel sidelined or underrated by their women, because the women are they are bankers, they are lawyers, they are this, they are that, and they are, you know, they are earning as much, if not more, than the man. So,
okay, I don't think you guys are understanding what I'm saying. Let me rephrase.
I guess where you're going.
The point, I want you to understand me. The point I'm trying to make is that what makes you a man, how our men were raised, right?
It's your provision.
How we provide those things. What I am saying is that because women are equally doing the same thing, so in many homes, men may be doing some heavy lifting. You do that big 10 million, 5 million. But if you add all the sponsor tomato, pepper, this, that, the women, because women they've split it. So you are now making it look as if man must do everything. But the truth is that, I'm just saying that the conversation would look as if men should handle it. But what women are doing are equally substantial. So it's equally substantial.
School fees, to make that example. So let's assume school fees is 200K.
Yes.
And then you need to buy singlets, boxers, socks, school bags, and somebody else says, okay, because you've done this, let me just do that. You now assume, oh, you took the lesser bill. When you do the addition, the person would have spent 250 compared to your 200.
Exactly.
So your question was, does the provision of just school fees make you the man?
God bless you.
Is that not it? And that's what I wanted to say, that the relationship is not one of superiority or the other.
Yes.
It is either you want to love or you don't want to love. Because in love, you must take small, see finish. That's the truth. So I wanted to link it back to if I pay rent, you dare not say certain things to me. There's nothing written. Nothing guaranteed. Okay, if the person now says it to you, even though you pay rent. I know someone, my auntie, my late uncle's wife, she did everything in that marriage. But we never knew. Because there's no latest car. My uncle did not drive to our house. So I just used to assume this guy was well-to-do until he passed. And then she carried everything and carried on. The kids are well-to-do now than in the US. She just carried on. I was like, I was now hearing the filters that she provided everything. And he was a happy old husband, that kind of thing. Because when she puts to bed, he stays and nurses her through. No, he died because he tried to be a man.
We need to answer this question of what exactly is 50-50 in the home? Because when we were growing up, we were made to think our fathers did everything. gradually, you know, as we grew up, we now realized how much of support our mothers were. And even today, a lot of women are doing so much. And many of them feel like their men are not doing enough. Or some men don't even have any jobs at all. But my own worry is that should a man be judged because of his inability at this time because he can't pay school fees, he can't pay rent, suddenly he's not a man? That's where I have a problem with, because I remember I always said it before that one thing I learned from Mrs. Ibukwari Wushika many years ago when I was still early in the marriage and I started Your View. I went for a speaking engagement. She said, listen, it's not the resources that makes a man a man. It's the fact that he was ordained by God to be the head of the house. So his ability or inability to provide does not make him less of a man. The leadership God has given to him is his role. So respect him even though he's not there yet. So that helped me. That helped me in my early days, because he helped me to understand. Listen, yes, my husband might not be here, but he's on a journey and to where he's going to be.
Okay, because that's a peculiar one. That's your example is peculiar. But God in his wisdom said man is the provider. Reason is because if you put all that power in a person without putting what is it called? Corresponding duty, the abuse can be huge. Imagine that I just wield the power to tell you, cook for me, clean for me, birth for me, nurture for me, this for me, that for me, and provide the resources on your own. Of course, I will abuse that power at some point. I don't know the need to take care, to help, and you see it, because we are not the same. We are not built the same. If you have the power to compel somebody to do things that will just make your life easy without doing anything, imagine how it will be.
What if you do it in love, though? So yeah, you're right.
You will do it in love and die young, because you will get overwhelmed. We are all married.
Yeah.
This is 14 years for me. We know the weight, these things bring.
Yeah.
What the things we do for love. Sometimes you just want to be pampered, and it's okay to have your escape once in a while. So imagine that it was your entire duty to birth, provide, shelter,
Clean.
everything. And
Take
the other person
in-laws.
is a man just because he's a man.
Let me take this call. I'll come to you, Miriam. Joseph, thanks for calling. You live.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, ladies. Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Joseph from Maiduguri.
Nairobi.
You're calling from Nairobi?
No,
Maiduguri.
No, Maiduguri.
Go ahead, please.
First of all, I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. So how are you people? Well, I don't have much time. Let me go straight to my point.
Yes.
About family issue, as in whether the finances should be splitted or joined, I think the main issue there is, in a family, if you have love, you have trust, you have selflessness, whether the finance is joined or single, there will be no problem. But if you join your account and these three things that I mentioned is not there will be no, as in the point is not going to be, I don't know if as in there will be no point joining the account. So, but if you split and you still have the love, the trust, the selflessness, as in being for the family, not for yourself, not for your relatives, and other things like that.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Go ahead, Miriam.
So for me, I feel that this 50-50 conversation is not a very healthy one in a marriage. It does not make sense, because whether we like it or not, you cannot exactly quantify. There's some bills that are unquantifiable. There's some bills that you cannot put money. There's some services or things that you do in your house that you cannot put a monetary value on. And because of that, as our last caller said, a lot is dependent on the respect and the love that you have for each other, and the fact that you look at each other or whatever it is that you're doing for the home as a team, as this is something we're doing together. So when the man, for example, brings in the rent, he does not see it like I've played 50% of my own role, or I've paid 50% of the role I'm supposed to do. But he's doing it, and this is what I'm doing towards our house. Knowing that there are things that you also do as the wife, and he appreciates you for it. He also understands that even though I'm able to pay for fees, there are little things that you do and makes the amount of money I've paid for fees worthwhile. Because what if I paid for the fees and my child is going to school with socks that are torn because I didn't really pay attention to getting new socks, or the bags are not really have holes in them because I didn't really pay attention to get new bags. So, or I pay for the rent, but the house is looking clean, the decoration is looking nice, our house is a nice home because you're there. We can't really quantify everything that everybody brings. So for me, that conversation is not really healthy. Just know that this is our home and we're going to work together to make this work. And then if you have a situation where the woman earns more, it's not a time, it's also not the time for 50-50 or 80-20 or let me see what I can, you know.
See,
let
a
the
new
woman,
chapter.
yes,
Wait, I want us to come to that in a minute. Woman earning more is an important chapter. But let me take this call. Hassan. Good morning, Hassan. Thanks for calling. You're live.
Morayo,
Yes, sir.
I've been laughing since, and my laughter is about you. Because let me tell you what is very clear. Yeah. You see, you made one point that a man would say, get out of my house. So you should join in paying the rent. It's a way of trying to clip the wings of women. That's not the issue. And secondly, you see this issue of Awoshika. Awoshika, she's talking about our own experience. She's expressing herself. I disagree with her in many instances. Stop using her as your own point. Leave her alone. A lot of people disagree with her. And secondly, you see, what is very, we have a lot of good housewives. A lot of good housewives. Marriage is about sacrifice. It's not about I'm putting this, I'm putting that here. No. It's about when a woman earns your respect, you can go to any length and provide for her. This issue of educated women thinking that men ego is because they are putting something on the table. It's not a good perception of women. We are ordained by God to do it. Any man that fails to provide sees himself as a failure. That is the reality of it. You understand? We see ourselves as a failure.
Thank you very much, Hassan. I hear you, Hassan, but there's a part of this, and I'd like to even reference the couple that we're discussing about. One of the things that the man had said was that if I as a man cannot afford a certain school, I'm not going to take my child to that school. Now, as much as I get that, but when we put the child first, like what kind of quality of education am I looking for my child? And because my wife earns more than me, and I don't want her to feel like she's in charge, I would rather take my child to a school that I know I can afford, but my wife has the ability to pay for a better school. But because of this same ego, I would not allow my wife to pay for that school. So my issue therefore going to both Hassan is saying that what is more important? Is it the ego or the child whose issue, who needs a better school? Because a man says, I can only afford this school. And because I am the man, I must provide this school. But you as a woman say, no, I prefer this school because I think it's better. So who do you now? Who do you
use myself as an example. When my daughter was about to go to university, she had set her heart on going to a university abroad. And her father said, look, I can't afford this school. She will go to, he named one university in Otta. And I said, and my daughter was like, no, I don't want to go to that university. And I said, don't worry, we'll send you to England. So I went to meet him, and he said, no, that he can't afford it. If I'm going to send her abroad, I will take the responsibility by myself. I said, okay. Because I wanted what she wanted. And she has really set her heart.
But both of you are not married, YK.
Yeah, so
you are divorced at the time.
But he was still the provider. He was still the one looking after
his child.
Yeah, financially.
Kind of, yeah,
he had the finance
looking after his child.
So, like, I would say that he was a very considerate person. What we see is that he cannot provide, you can, but he's saying you dare not.
Exactly. There are men like that.
He's standing his ground and saying, as the provider, this is the future, the way I want it for my child. Nothing else will change it. Even though you can afford it, even though this is for her best interest, I don't want you to pay.
So what is important, the ego or the child?
So that's why for me, this thing...
But I paid.
Yeah, you...
And he refunded me some of it later.
Good.
Okay.
So that's why I was...
So he's a very considerate person. He's not the regular...
So that's why I was headed, which is that specifically putting a figure or picking a thing, it would not work.
Yeah.
Times, circumstances, you know, things, life will happen to you. What is important is, as I said before, the same view. This is what we're working towards. This story about you want your child to go to a certain school. It's a conversation that's happening in many homes. I mean, I was saying to my husband that I'm surprised to see that when my son was going to secondary school, it brought a bit of tension in our home. And I found that it wasn't just my home, a lot of people, because now you're about to make like a life decision for your child. So it is the sort of thing I would like for my child, and then the sort of thing that we can afford, the sort of thing that, you know, and we have to sit down and put that on the table. And many times what you want versus what you have may not quite gel. But what works is that I am married to my husband, my friend, my teammate. And the person of importance is this our child, you know. So we're going to sit down and put our heads together. How can we make this work? And then what are the options? You walk through the different options. What can we work that works with what we have today vis-a-vis what we want for the child?
But that's for a reasonable husband.
Yes, that's
but some men are not like that. A lot of men will say, I don't care what you want to. And there's no time for conversation. This is good. This child is going here, and there's nothing you can do about it because I'm the father, I'm the man. That's where some women are stuck on. So they are frustrated that their child have to go to certain schools just because their father is insisting.
I've seen 3 different examples of those.
Nima, let me pause you for a second. I'm sorry. I want you to answer this problem. I need to take Olani Waju from UK. Good morning, Olani Waju.
Good morning.
You're live. Thanks for calling.
Everyone over there, good morning. Morayo. Nima, you're welcome back.
Thank you.
And Miriam and my sister hear me there, my age mates. Yeah, I'm much as well. Yeah, and I'm 62 already as well, like you. Yeah, number one thing that I want to ask before I contribute to what you are saying. The UAE exemption, the visa lifted for Nigeria. Are you listening to me?
Yes, we are.
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yeah, that UAE visa, when the UAE banned Nigeria, the Nigeria banned them as well not to come to Nigeria. That's number one question. Because they can ban us not to come. And then they say the list is visa for us is like they are doing us a favor. So we should be ban them as well. That moment, that year, I want to know if we ban them or not. That's number one. Then number two, concerning the couple doing things together at home. Here in UK, mostly the couple, they split the bill because the bill is heavy. Okay? We got council tax, we got feeding, no school fees, but in the school, the children eat in the school anyway. But if we get less money coming into the family, the school will feed them. Or if both of you have enough money, you pay for the meal. The transportation is free. What I'm trying to say is that whatever you're doing as a family, if the wife is doing more than the man, don't let it appear to the children that, oh, it's the mother that is doing more.
Okay, get your point. Nima, let me let you come back.
Okay, so I have 3 examples of this. For instance, some women don't work, they're housewives, but they have the standard of life that they want, whether it's within the means of the man or not. In such a situation, leave the person that is providing to decide. Some women are working. They can afford to partner, but the other party is saying, okay, we are joining resources, let's do this way. And the other case is a woman who is very buoyant, she can afford things, and she just wants to do things. So I am in my marriage, and I've sometimes just done it to my husband. So which is why I say you have to be very considerate. There was a time my daughter wanted to go for camp, and the father said, no camp. He was against sleepovers, boardings, anything that takes her out of the house. And I sent her to the camp for 2 weeks because I asked him, is it about the money? He said, I will not pay for it. I said, okay, I'll pay for it. And I went to pay for it without really discussing how the matter felt. And then when he decided to do the same to me, I started crying. So it's not always about money. Sometimes when it comes to a tie, that power of the head, you don't see it play out. He then decides this is how this family would run. Because you have sort of overstepped certain boundaries too. If you were also the head, wouldn't you do the same? If I could have taken her to camp in 2 weeks because money was the issue, why do I then blame the provider for deciding, okay, this is how I want to do my own thing?
But Nima, I'd like us to touch on what this last caller said, and I think it's an important part of this conversation. If a woman is doing so much, she shouldn't let the world. Does that still hold water today? Where the woman is the sole provider of the house. She's supposed to do it in secrecy. You know, our mothers did that. We had women, we know, you never know that the mother handles certain things. But can that still happen? Because women today are truly more empowered than a lot of their husbands. So are we saying that should still hold water to an empowered woman who the child can visibly see that mommy goes to work, comes back, daddy is not going to work, he's not doing anything, and they see it and it's clear, but she must also still come down and pretend like it's daddy. Is that still needed today's world?
For me, Morayo, marriage is teamwork. I don't think if it's the man providing or if it's the woman providing, the children have to know who is who. It is just, they see that...
Provision.
Yes. It's not their business who is paying. And once you start to lord it over your husband or your husband starts to lord it over you, it's no more a team. One is the yoga and one is the subordinate. And once that is, for me, that's a breakdown of the relationship.
And that's how it happens in my home. Actually, my husband detests, that's the word I'm going to use, every time I say to him, daddy did this. He'll be like, why? Why would you say that? We did it, and that's all they need to know. Between you and I, we know how it worked, but for them, that's all that they need to know. And, for me, I thought, no, so that they would, you're hardly ever around, appreciate you more and things like that. But you see, the thing about consideration, which is something they work for now, then tomorrow when the tables are flipped, would you like it? So it's important that whatever it is that we're doing today, let's look at a big, let's look at it holistically, like how would we want for it to be sustained going forward? I don't understand this conversation of saying a woman should hide it in the sense that how else, even when a man is doing it, how do we carry it? Do we wear it on our heads and say, oh, this is what our husbands are doing? No, we just live our lives. You come into my home and you say, nice house. You meet my children, you are like, oh, lovely children.
It's me that did it.
Exactly. We don't go, it's me that did it, Oh, I like your car, nice car.
I don't say
it's 50-50. My husband paid 50 on it, my wife. We don't do that anyway. So to ask a woman to be extra secret about and careful about it. Just be you.
And
your husband is the one.
It can be misleading for someone like me. Now, my husband doesn't have to leave the house to make money. He has people working for him, and on his phone like this, he's monitoring his business. But somebody visibly would think, the wife is going out, coming in, not knowing that the man is doing. But it can be misleading. You might read wrong.
Morayo, what
you
I
think
it is this way of saying it's making the woman apologetic about what she can carry. Before person reached their arrival, it took a walk, it took a lot. And the society over years, they will say to the woman, go and hide and give daddy to pay the rent. Go and hide and give daddy so the children see him. How about both of you sit together and he too mans up and say, okay, both of us, we're doing this together. And every conversation, you continuously have it together so that they see a common team front, like YK says. Nobody should be hiding ahead and be sorry for what they work hard to
Let me go
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.